Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is John Rhodes, CM First Group. We're here to talk about CM evolveIT 11.7 Mainframe Edition, which has just been released. Okay, we've got two speakers today. There's myself. I'm the Managing Director and CTO for CM First Group. We have Roger Hammer, who's in charge of software development, including the CM evolveIT product. I'll turn my webcam on. Or try to anyway. Okay, so let's go through the presentation. I have some introduction material for people that are not too familiar with CM evolveIT. And then Roger Hammer's going to go into some details showing off the new features in the product. Talk about our AI analysis playground support. We're supporting 2 LLMs currently. A little bit on custom reporting. New feature around object grouping, and discuss other languages and asset capabilities that we have. At any time, if you have any questions, please type them into the question section of the GoToWebinar meeting, and we'll answer those at the end. Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with our company, we're headquartered in Austin, Texas. We have a presence in other countries around the world, with an office in France and development centers in Vietnam, Central America. We're heavily focused on building reliable, rapid, and cost-effective software tools around IBM platform applications. So on the IBM mainframe and IBM mid-range or IBM I, IBM Z platforms. And I think we have a pretty even split among our customers. Some people are very happy with their platform and their code, that being COBOL or RPG or whatever it happens to be in, and running on the IBM Z or IBM I, very happy with it, and just need some help maintaining it more effectively. And our CM evolveIT helps with that quite a bit. Also, people are looking at modernizing what they have. So that might mean moving COBOL into Java or into JavaScript, or changing platforms, and we also help with that. We'll touch on that in the demonstration. Okay, what are we hearing? Well, I think you're hearing the same things at your shops, that people are getting increasingly concerned about the IBM I and IBM Z platform. It's increasingly people are retiring that built the applications over decades. So there's a less understanding, and as you bring new teams on, it's hard to onboard them because they don't understand the code base because they didn't help write it. And there's also concern that IBM and other vendors of software won't be able to support these new platforms. Okay, so we help with our CM evolveIT with really state-of-the-art deep analysis tooling. It gives you a way to get a comprehension of your system very quickly, so new engineers can be brought up to speed and be productive in a much shorter period of time. If you're doing package implementations, it helps with understanding what your existing custom software may be doing, so that can be ported into a new package. Or if you're doing any rewrites or transformation of your code, it especially shines in that area. Okay, we do have a really flexible automated code transformation engine, focused a lot on COBOL, but also has other capabilities. And we also support your existing development teams with managed application services or DevOps or add-on products. Okay, here is our CM evolveIT platform. Okay, so it works as a static code analysis tool. It takes in models from various sources. Okay, so it can be from COBOL on your IBM I, IBM Z, RPG, or also all the surround technologies. So your JCL, your software catalogs in SQL or DB2, file structures, everything else that may be on your mainframe. Okay, and then we also look at different models. And we bring that into a unified big data database, a graph database that's integrated with AI, as you'll see today. And once it's in the system, evolveIT can be brought out in many different ways. Brought out as reports, or as component connectivity, or as business rules, or any number of things that may be of interest to your development team and analysts. Okay, I think that's what I had for kind of an introduction. But I'm sure you want to see this in action, so I'm going to turn things over to Roger Hammer to show you the product and show you how it can help your organization.
All right, thank you, John. I'll get my screen up here. All right, should be seeing our evolveIT dashboard now. I'm going to provide you with a demonstration, kind of an overview, and talk, as John said, about a number of the new features. There's a list of new features I'll talk about at the end that is on our support site. So let's get started. So when you open evolveIT, you're going to see this dashboard, and you have the option to present different metrics and statistics. So you can see we've got some program count here, complexity information. On the far right there, we've got statement count, so the number of statements in all that code, and then a count of things like copybooks, JCL, tables. So you get that view as you begin, and you can see there's some trend graphs there to give you an idea of how things have changed over time. Now, these are a little exaggerated because we've built them for presentation, but certainly helpful to know how metrics are changing, how the statistics of your application grow over time to help with management and any refactoring that may be needed. Okay, let's drill down. First, most everyone is familiar with text search, so we provide that capability. And I'm just going to do a search over the entire code base for this loan amount. So you can see this is an elastic search, so it's very fast. It's all pre-indexed, and so we get results almost instantaneously. And we see a list of all the different components that have this field in it. And then we can open each one and see where that location is for that field. Both in this case, in a program, but also in copybooks. If it shows up in JCL or job procs, things like that, they're all going to be there. And so you have that ability to quickly find within your application where fields are used, get a kind of lay of the land, and from there you can drill directly into a particular component to see how it's related. So you can see here, I've clicked on this copybook, and there's a lot of programs, 293 of them that are using that copybook. We get that list, and we can, for example, maybe we decide we want to just export that list to CSV and see that in Excel so that we have that list available to us to continue our work. Okay, I'll quickly also mention that we offer access to the source code view also directly here. So while you're here, you can get access to graph this information, show a diagram, get those relationships as text here, or bring up the actual source code itself. And of course, it's going to show us where that field is in that source code. So a really handy feature. You can also, once you're in that source, then you can do additional searches to find other aspects that you may be interested in. Okay, let's move down through the menus here. So asset query is an area of the application that's very customizable. We've got a few items in here. You can see different types of assets. For programs, we have just a few here, link card entries. Here's an interesting one for finding programs that are never called. So finding programs that are actually not used any longer in your application. So those are a number of, these can be expandable, and you can make requests and we can add new custom queries there, or excuse me, asset queries. So in addition, a new area here is custom query. And this is our first area where we're going to see a combination of what I'll call parsed information, where we're using that compiler-like technology to understand that code when we initially bring it into the tool, but we're also using AI to give us some information about how or what's happening within that particular application. So I'm just going to click on one of these. We'll take a quick look at a PDF so you can get a sense of, in this case, this is a low-level IO program. So we see all the parameter information. We see the copybooks reference, we see the calling programs, and then you can see we get a full summary. This is where the AI comes in to provide a full summarization of this kind of paragraph by paragraph throughout that program. So you get a lot of very valuable information in just a few minutes after selecting that program. All right, let's get back to our tool here. Next, I'm going to jump in. Well, we do have a place to work with program metrics. So we've got lists of, in this case, complexity, difficulty, and volume. So we can search and sort based on the complexity numbers. Of course, we can search for individual programs and identify those also. Another area that's new within the application is menu. So menu is an area that we can use. So, you know, some customers will have menus maybe outside of their main application, but we also utilize this as a way to add other component types as something that can sit on top of the application maybe and provide either grouping or a way to just show a connection to those components. So if I select this main menu that's been created, we can see that it's got program, but we also can see where we've created submenus. And so it gives us an entry point from that potential external asset type that can be added in here and connected. Now, I will mention if you've got other component types that are text-based components, we also have a way to bring those in as what we call other assets, and they are searchable. You can view that source, and so that's another good way to implement any components you may want to add outside of the ones that are already parsed in evolveIT. Okay, I'm going to skip over the AI analysis and jump into our asset viewer. We'll come back to AI analysis and see how it's integrated with the tools within evolveIT here. So our asset browser is a way to identify any particular component or asset by name. So I can, for example, go to my programs, and I've already think I got one. Oh, I don't have one entered there. Okay, let's just do a quick search. Okay, so again, in this case, all I'm seeing, and if I don't create an entry here, I see a list of everything within that asset type. And so I can see the full list of all the programs, and I have a count here. Now, I think this count's going to include what we call missing or components that are we don't have the source for. So you can see this number is a little higher here we saw before. Okay, if I go to JCL, let's do a quick search here, and we can see again, anytime we select this little local show local option, we're going to see in this case just one program, and then we can generate the call graph. We can also take a look at any additional connected components. In this case, we've got external files, and so those files are showing up. We can add them individually by just selecting them, or we can click add all if we want to see them all. Okay, so we can see all these component relationships very quickly. I like to look at this view vertically so I can see the top-down view, and then of course, just as we do with everything else, we have options to export, as we mentioned earlier, JSON, CSV, Excel, PDF, and also Draw.io. So this is a tool you can use external to evolveIT once you export to it to actually open the diagram and modify that diagram as you would need to. Under layouts, we've got several items here. Some of those have to do with managing if you've modified or changed these diagrams. We have that option to manage components. Maybe you've deleted a component from a diagram and you want to remove those orphaned, or you highlighted a number of nodes on the diagram and you want to remove those. We can also export the diagram and re-import it. And then we have the save diagram option, which I'll come back to in a few minutes. And then we can save it externally also. Okay, so let's go back to application programs. And I'm just going to show you that you can use a partial name. So I just typed 135, and I got a couple programs that have 135 in the program name. So I'm just going to select one of those and search for it. Of course, since I selected the individual program name, I'm just going to see the one. And then I have options, just as I mentioned before, to show the relationships. This one has quite a few. I can start a new diagram with just this particular component on it as a starting point, and then I can add anything I want. For example, I can add calling job procedures. So let's just pick one of these, add that on, switch to vertical. And then again, I'll keep going up that call chain and to get the job on there too. So now we've got the job proc, and program, and then we can choose, we can either add layers, so I can add the neighbor or the direct access programs, or 2 layers, 3 layers, or on down. Some of these program or the call graphs can get a little large, so I'm going to focus in on identifying particular programs I'm interested in. You can see there's a number of IO programs. I'm going to click one of those, and then I'm going to just select these other programs that are non-IO to add to the diagram. So this is my analysis. So you can add any components you want, build the diagram that makes sense to you and that you need to do and complete your analysis. And of course, we can continue to expand where it's helpful. Number of programs. Again, I'm just going to pick those kind of non-IO programs to add. As you can see, I can build up very valuable diagrams that help me understand and explain information to others. This is something, again, we can export. We can snapshot this and share it with others so that they have the information they need to understand the work that is being done. These can be used, of course, for scoping, and they can be very large maybe to understand, how big a particular scope would be for a program. Or again, you can focus in on build of just the diagram elements that you're interested in. Now, I will mention that all of these features that we talked about before are available from each program's perspective too, even within the diagrams. So I've got the backward and the forward relationships. I've got the ability to kind of start over as a view graph. I can view source, just open up the source code for this program. I can add my own notes to this program. And in that case, if I add notes, so I add my notes, and I can, in this case, they're by default public. So everyone that goes in and looks at this program, the notes, they'll see my notes. If you don't want those to be public, if you just are working on a project, you want to see those notes for your work, maybe immediately, then you'll just uncheck that public. All right. So a number of different things that are helpful here. Maybe one other item here to see that custom query. We can always go in and make that custom query. So now this is a program. I want to see that documented COBOL information for that program. As we looked at before, I would submit that, and it does run a process. It takes just a few minutes, and then you can go back to that custom query area and look at that result. All right. Actually, you know what? Let me go from here. I'm going to pick one of my programs, and I'm going to open up the source code. So now we're going to see, how do we get to, as an interactive way, how do we get to use AI to help do analysis? So when we open up the source code for a program, in this case, we get the original source, which is only the source within that program file. Then we also get what we call expanded source. Expanded source includes all of the copybook source within that listing, so you have the entire program that you can work with. So in this case, I'm going to select all the source code, just doing a Control-A there, and then I'm going to right-click and go into my AI analysis tool. So now it's pulled that source into my source code view for the AI analysis. I've got a number of different things I can do. I've got different options for using AI to explain this particular program. And some of those options are, I can actually extract business rules. I can ask it to explain the COBOL source, just give me an overall explanation. I can choose an individual paragraph maybe and just ask for that explanation. And then if I've opened JCL, of course, I can explain that JCL. In addition, I have refactoring options. So I can ask it to give me suggestions for refactoring this code. If I know I've got some nested ifs in there, maybe a large set of nested ifs, help me understand how to simplify those. And then maybe I want to take that set of nested ifs and convert them to evaluates. So ways of refactoring the code. Now, obviously, we just have a few options there. This is completely expandable. And as you provide us, as customers ask for additional features here, we can add these new options for AI analysis very quickly. So we can provide those back to you as an additional feature. Just to kind of go on down the list, we can interact with database items. We do have some conversion options here. This is what I would call developer AI assisted. So we can convert to Java, we can convert to C#, and then this is for any language, but also specifically for COBOL, we have these items that allow you to do these same things. So we can get all these different options. To round it out, we've got the specific COBOL conversion in COBOL format. So we can convert the COBOL data structure in JSON. So this helps you in converting to other languages. And, as I said, COBOL conversion, which is again, more of the Java, C#, we can add additional languages in there. But again, these are AI assisted. Everything, of course, needs to be reviewed, but they do a reasonable job, and we can tweak those where needed to continue to improve them. Okay, let's go back to just pick up one of the explain so I can show you an example here. Let's just do a simple explain COBOL source. So you can see it's just going to start out and walk through the program sections and give me information about what that program is doing. When it gets to the procedure division, it will start to help me understand what the logic is there and how it's being used, what the different record structures are, file operations. All those elements are going to be handled here and provide you some additional some information about how that program is working. So there's an overall summary. If I decide there's an element that I'd like to get here from this program, we also provide this interactive feature to go ask for additional information. So maybe I want okay, so just we can get this from evolveIT, but here we can get from this list, we can get it to just generate that list of fields that we want to take a look at. And, that gives us the ability to have this full information anytime we need it. I could have asked a more specific question about a specific field and how it's used, about anything can be asked there. I'll just let that finish. It's quite a long list. Once that's finished, we have the option to just copy this from the screen, and you can, that'll copy to the clipboard, and you can paste that into any document you would like. Okay, we also have this reset option, so I can do that rather than waiting on it to finish. So that gives you an idea of the kinds of things. Let me go ahead and do this business rules option. Let's take a look at that and see what that form looks like. Now, we've created this form in the form of what we call a condition action. So it's going to start each business rule with a condition that needs to be true or false, and then the action that will be taking place after that particular condition is met. Okay. All right. So yeah, and this is the integrated way to access AI in evolveIT. You also have the ability there to go directly to the AI. There it is. So we can go in there with a blank screen and copy and paste in anything we want source-wise, and then use these same features to interact with it. So that gives you the direct access. All right. We do have a few other, so object management, we can manage all these different objects. You know, this is a place where we can actually, I talked about menu earlier, we can import from like a CSV to import all the information around a menu. We have filtering. We can import descriptions on particular components. And then we have some of the other detailed areas of property management and object styles. You can actually adjust the styles if you really want to. Business terminology, similar to description, we can also do searches for, you know, good examples, social security number. Maybe you have a number of field names that indicate social security number. So for each of those, you could do a search and identify those different fields to be kind of grouped as all of these are social security number. In addition, we have data lineage, which provides you the ability to do a field path analysis to identify where that field is used and the path at which it travels across the code. All right, and then of course, so there's administrator functionality. I will mention it. evolveIT uses LDAP for your users, so you can get set up and use your regular user IDs that you use within your company. And of course, we've actually got usage information, so you can see how people are using the tool, how often. All right, let me move over to show you one more item. And that is our, so this is our support website for CM First Group. And let me just show you, if you go to the knowledge base after you come to support@cmfirstgroup.com, when you go to that knowledge base, you see all the different tools that we have. If you go down to CM evolveIT, you'll see the documentation in different areas. But here's under releases, we've got release notes. So for this version 11.7 that's just been released, you can see that we've got the AI analysis playground. We mentioned the ability to ask for different types of analysis, the chat style additional item, chat GPT. John also mentioned that we are integrating with a number of different models, particularly for on-site. If you need an on-prem solution, the Llama version and a number of others that we're actually doing testing with are available for on-site, on-prem. Custom query I mentioned, and report enhancement, that's where we're doing the queries on those items. And also we have this reporting tool built in so we can enhance those, as you saw, giving you nice formats for reporting, and with the AI-based additions, give you also things like, you know, a description of what that particular program is doing. Again, this is an area where we'll be expanding and taking customer input to add lots of new capabilities there. The menu asset I mentioned, that we saw how we can add new menus, things like that. Business terminology support. There are some usability items. Obviously, if you haven't used the tool, you may not notice them, but we added a drop-down filter for filtering the program, each source code type. The quick source view that I showed you as we selected a program in the asset viewer, that's a new feature that gives you quicker access to look at source. And then we also, I didn't show you this, I'll go back, we have a labeled snapshot date. So by default, every time there's an update to the database, so we just take the differences, the new changes, and add those in. We also have the ability to give it a label rather than just a date. So if you've got labels or names that you use for your different releases, you can use those also. And then as what we call discovery, which is that process of parsing code, there's a number of enhancements around discovery and cross-reference. Cross-reference is a process if you've got a very large inventory that can take some time. We've shrunk that time by something like 60–70%, so it actually takes even less time. And then we've got a command line interface for doing this work, so it can be highly automated. And of course, we typically schedule these tasks so that they run really independent of anybody needing to work with them, and you can just check in on it when needed. Some additional information here that has to do with configuration, having to do with IIS and the websites, and some enhancements. We did upgrade our Elasticsearch tool to the latest version, and of course we continue to make fixes and things like that. And then, as we mentioned, we also have IBM or IBM Power systems, and we've made a number of additions there, including database. So John mentioned we can actually extract through the automation, so it's regularly included. We can extract your DB2 catalog information, expanding the amount of information you have available within your database in order to provide, a number of things that you're going to want to see: table view, index, those kinds of things, alias names in the IBMI world. Also, we had not previously handled that situation where copybooks reference other copybooks. It's not used a lot out there, but we do see it where copybooks actually copy in another copybook. And then also where there's some copybook defines. There's also some other little features here, zooming into assets, allowing a diagram viewer to open as well. Okay, so yeah, now you know where to go to our website to get support. Of course, you can log in and actually request support if you're there and if you're owner of the tool, but you also have this ability to see all the documentation, all of the release information, and all the different versions of the tool, where you can get all the information you need. And of course, we're here and work closely with customers to make sure that their databases are always looking the way they want, and all their information that they desire is included in that database. So we're very interactive with our customers to help take care of these databases and their needs. Okay, I think that's everything I have for today's demonstration. As John said, if you have questions, hopefully you've entered them in the question area there at the bottom of your GoToMeeting. And I'll hand it back to John to get into any questions.
All right, thanks, Roger. Yeah, I'm just going to look at the questions we have there and go through them. We have a few. First, I guess for you, Roger, are there evaluation licenses available?
Yes, we do evaluation or proof of concepts with customers regularly. Depending on your needs, we can do that on site. But if you, that means you need to set up a server and get that ready. If you don't prefer that direction, we have cloud servers that we use with private access that we can make a small set of your code available for your review. And so, yes, we can do that and work with you through that process.
Okay, maybe it's a question for me here. What is the price model of CM evolveIT? That's a good question. So of course, there's different modules and complexity, but in general, we price it very simply on the number of lines of code. So and that includes unlimited use or unlimited users. So it's something where you can get your whole team involved, from the analyst down to the actual developer, and don't have to worry about high incremental costs as you add developers. Okay, next, do you support PL1, Roger?
Sure. So PL1 is one of those asset types that we would add into what we call other assets. So we would take the text of those components and we just bring them directly in. They become searchable within the text search tool. You can view that source if desired. We don't parse PL1 specifically currently, but we can actually add what we call correlations to those so that they are connected and related to other components. We would do that, with a number of different text assets, even documentation. If you have documentation that has value, many times we see customers with documentation that's out of date, which is why the AI can be very valuable here to give you actual documentation in real time for your programs and components. But if your documentation is very valuable to you, we can add that into other assets. If you want to connect it, maybe we create one of those menu items or a grouping of components, and we attach that documentation to it so that it's easily accessible through the view structures, the diagrams, and the text views. And so you can get access to it quickly and search it and open it up and view it.
Okay, one more question. I think I'll take it. Which LLMs do you plan to support, or do you support and plan to support? I think we already talked about, we support currently OpenAI, Azure AI. It was the first LLM that we worked with and have the most integration with. However, we've recently also decided to support Meta Llama for people that want to use on-premise LLMs especially. And our intention is to support all the major LLMs that add value, that work in the enterprise space. For example, IBM Watson, the Granite model is something we're looking at. So I think, I think you'll see additional models come out. We do have a very flexible orchestration strategy that can incorporate as many LLMs as makes sense for analysis. Okay, I think that wraps up the question. Thank you for attending the webinar. Thank you, Roger, for the demonstration.
Sure.
And if you're interested in this, please drop us a note. We'll also be at the Share Conference in DC in February. If you want to stop by and have a chat and have an in-depth conversation about the product, we'll be there. Okay, I think that's it. All right, you guys have a great day and talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.